Hi there. Well, I thought I'd just do a short video about the subject of fractal memory. Fractal memory is one of the big breakthrough contributions that I've made to the whole science of psychology and remembering. And I'm talking about real science, this is not Freud, as I've commented in my writings. First of all, let's clarify what we mean by a fractal. It's a very important, very interesting phenomenon. And it's based upon what we call self-similarity, or the word iteration. Now, to iterate means to come round and round. Each trip round is a new iteration, okay? So something reiterates, it goes round and round and appears and reappears and reappears and so on. Now, if you've never seen a picture of the beautiful Mandelbrot Set, or a video, I should say, I'd like you to watch one because it's really quite gorgeous to see. It's a mathematical phenomenon, and the videos that you see, you've got to be clear, the videos that you see are not anything in nature. They're generated by the mathematics itself turned into a computer display. For example, there's usually a lot of colors that make it rather gorgeous and beautiful, but the colors are not in the mathematics, okay, obviously. But what I'll do is, at this point, I'll play you the Mandelbrot Set video. I can get these off YouTube, so I'll play it for you, and I think you'll enjoy. Notice how it gives the effect of diving deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper, endlessly. In fact, it's infinite. That's one of the extraordinary things about fractals, and especially this particular fractal called the Mandelbrot Set. Okay, well, there's just a taster for you if you want to go and find some more. This is how you spell it, Mandelbrot Set, after a man called Benoit Mandelbrot, who first discovered the maths. But it wasn't just the maths of fractals, he discovered a whole new version of reality that's called rough versus smooth. You see, our perception of reality is that things shade gradually from one thing to another, but in fact that's not the reality that exists. The reality is it goes ka-chunk, 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 that appears smooth, but in fact it's not. It's an illusion, so it's a kind of, it's called rough, right? Rough or smooth. And Mandelbrot was the first person to show that in fact it's a very rough reality, but it's nature. That's what you find in trees and the way plants branch, the shapes of mountains, coastlines, all of those things are based on this rough nature of transition from one reality to another. Anyway, so let me just show you the simple math. I am not good at maths, so don't expect anything much from me, but I can show you the equation. Let's turn to the chart, and this is the equation for the Mandelbrot set. Z equals Z squared plus C. That's the equation. So if Z was 2, then Z squared is 4 plus C, whatever that is. That's then fed back in. So that becomes, let's say it was 4.7. That becomes the new Z. So the next Z is 4.7 squared plus C, and so on, round and round. Each of these journeys around is called an iteration, as I said. Now, there's no argument with that. That's not a Keith-Mumby theory, a Scott-Mumby theory. This is the way the world is, and I just showed you a beautiful video showing you what people have discovered about this. My contribution, it's a bit clever if I admit it myself, was to realize that this is what memory is doing. And this is why memory changes and transitions, and why we get stuck with it, and why our past haunts us in a way that, it's very hard to shake off. I'll come to shaking it off in a minute, but let me talk about why I suddenly, one day, it was one of those moments, when you wake up in a dream and think, that's how it's working. Don't belittle that. That's how Einstein discovered reality. He dreamed, pictured himself traveling on the end of a light beam and thought, what would I experience if I did that? Result was relativity. Pretty amazing stuff too. But anyway, let's go to memory. Let's take this as a memory imprint, mental image picture, we call these MIMPs, as you probably know. It just means an imprint or impression. You know, it's full of sound and sight and the feelings and whatever was going on at the time. When that gets stirred up a second time, and we call this, and this is the modern scientific word, it's not an exclusive supernoetics or punk psychology word at all. It's called reconsolidation. It comes around again. What they found is something I've known for nearly 40 years, which is that you actually recreate the memory. You don't bring it out of a file, you make it happen again. So there's an extra layer, if you like, okay? So it's the MIMP plus some, a bit like the fractal, the basic thing plus some. So here we've got the MIMP plus. Okay, now when the person recalls it again, we go through the same thing and the person reconsolidates. Write the word again. Person reconsolidates the MIMP plus, right? So now we've got a MIMP that's plus all kinds of stuff. You're going to get the picture very quickly, okay? This is plus plus. So already it's getting more dense and more mysterious and more, if you like, more difficult to dismantle. I'll put in one more, what's the word? One more iteration, okay? So it reiterates. The process is called consolidation, but each of these steps, going around the loop like the fractal, we call an iteration. So I've shown one more, and this time, by this stage, it's getting a load of crud. Maybe one more. I hope you can see this far down on the video. So lots and lots of added layers as this thing builds each time, okay? How is that important? Is it important? If so, why it's important? Well, actually, it's quite critical, and this is the big realization of why my breakthrough technique, Make It Now technique, or MINT, just for short, but it's very important that a person goes back to that moment in time and travels the timeline. Remembering things won't work, and picking up any of these experiences won't work. You've got to go back to the original pristine recording before there was any fractalization or build up and through repetition, okay? So we go back, the person in the process of piloting, we go back to the original MIMP, right? So, as I say, why is that important? Well, because that's the one that can be plastically altered. These are too cluttered with extra layers and repetitions to be easily alterable. But if you go back to the primary recording, science says, not me, science says that these memories are very plastic. At the very moment of reconsolidation, that's when we put a person back down the timeline and saying, be there, see it as now, make it now. That's the title of the technique. Make it now. So I am sitting in the chair and the dentist is bringing the pliers to pull whatever the person is processing. They have to be able to be there, reconsolidating this original memory recording for us to be able to tweak it. And hey, guess what? When the person does this, and we do it properly using the techniques that I've developed, and other people with me, I'm not claiming to be a unique pioneer, but trust me, hypnoetics is a unique contribution, and supernoetics piloting, nobody else is doing this in quite the same way as I'm doing it. Nobody's come up with this before. And it's not Freud, okay? It's not counseling, it's not psychotherapy, it isn't hypnotherapy. It's our brand of piloting, and as I said, the basic name, I couldn't come up with anything better really, is to call it the Make It Now technique. And being there in the now and re-experiencing it as exactly you did all those years ago, 10 weeks ago, 10 years ago, 50 years ago, it makes no difference. You have to focus on the primary memory and go back there. We have to ignore all this fractalized clutter because that's what blocks things from being changed. And I mean, I'm not saying that, right, hypnotherapy, sometimes they get an amazing result. Counseling, psychotherapy, all these things can occasionally crash almost by accident into this phenomenon that the person, you know, somebody says what happened and the person's suddenly and totally back there without being asked. But surely it's better to understand the mechanism of the technique as we do and learn it the way we do. Okay, so I just wanted to put down these few notes for you to make sure that you understood A, the fractalization process of memory, and B, why the Make It Now technique is so crucially important the way I teach it. Please do it exactly the same way that I teach it, and you'll get phenomenal results, and very quickly too. Thank you.